Some truth and some beauty, so we're very excited. This week our guest is Stacy Berkowitz of Rock the Treatment. Thank you for being here. What we're going to talk about this week, rockthetreatment.com, gift baskets designed specifically for people undergoing chemotherapy.
The idea came about when I was visiting a friend that had recently had a mastectomy and she was undergoing chemotherapy treatment, and the doorbell rang and I got the door and she got a fruit bouquet. And I put it on the counter and I, made a joke. I said, wow, you can start a fruit stand. She had fruit, everywhere. And she got a little somber and a little teary-eyed and asked me if I wanted to take it home. And I thought, what's the matter? And so she started to explain to me how she couldn't eat fruit because the effects from the chemotherapy made her nauseous, so the smell of it made her nauseous, and then the acidity in some of the fruit hurt her mouth because that was also another side effect, is a dry mouth.
So you had people with the best of intentions just wanting to show some kind of gesture of support and love for the person undergoing this terrible process, and that's probably where the frustration came.
Right, and so she was feeling sad because she felt that by not using the items that she was being sent, she was in some way being unappreciative or not gracious.
Right.
And so she felt very guilty. And I thought to myself, this poor woman, I've been guilty of this, and I would feel so terrible to know that I sent something to somebody that is going through one of the most difficult periods of their life,
right.
Feeling the lousiest they've felt in their life. And on top of all of that, they are now feeling guilty about something that I did that I was trying to do in a good way. And so I went home and I started to search for something that I can get her that I thought would be great. And there was really limited choices. And the few choices that they were, in my opinion, really were very sad. They weren't gifts that I thought would be something to perk her up. It was more of a gift that said, here's something to remind you that you're sick. And I didn't like that. So I had a gift basket business for many years doing, many general things. And I said, you know what? I know how to do this. I could do this better. So I went and I did a lot of research into what kinds of things would be good. And I put together, a basket for her. And I brought it to her and she was elated.
Okay.
And from there, a friend of hers mother was diagnosed and they said, hey, what was that basket that you gave to so-and-so? Can you get me one for my mother? And then, it started to roll. And about a year ago, I was downsized from a corporate job that I've been in for a long time. And I thought, I'm going to make a go of this. I'm going to try to do this because it's had such a response and there's a need for it.
All right, but I want to get back to what goes into the basket, because the most important thing is the sender wants the receiver to feel better, or at least feel appreciated and know that somebody's thinking of them. And you have a dual effect. If you send a basket of fruit and it's making the receiver nauseous, that's not doing anybody any good, despite the best of intentions. So you're looking not necessarily, and you touch on something I thought was really important, it's not something that's going to remind them that they're ill, but in a way either help them deal with it or make them feel a little bit better. Can you walk us through some of the stuff that would go into the gift basket?
Sure. A lot of things are really everyday items that are, innocuous to us. So a big component would be those little red and white peppermint candies that we all see. And why they're in there is because, number one, it helps you with the dry mouth. And peppermint is also a really big help with nausea. So it's the kind of thing that you can throw into your pocket, you can throw into your pocketbook, and it's very helpful in two ways. There's skincare items that are in there that are specifically designed for people going through chemotherapy treatment. So not only does it help moisturize and nourish, it helps put back some of the properties that are being depleted from the medication. Also, there's a special mouthwash that people use for dry mouth. There's just simple puzzle books, because a lot of times chemotherapy is hours, sitting in a room, hours with intravenous. And a lot of times what cancer patients have said is when they're reading, when they're taking the medication, reading is something that they can't focus on the comprehension of diagnosing digesting what's being read. So, but they want something to keep their mind occupied.
So everything in the basket, the research was done to see what really would walk that fine line between serving a purpose and cheering the recipient up.
Exactly. I spoke to people that have gone through it. I've spoken to medical professionals. I've spoken to caregivers. There's 3 size baskets. I serve for men, women, and children.
Okay.
And there's 3 size baskets, and that's specifically designed so that you can hit whatever price range if it's just an individual or if it's an office. A lot of times an office wants to send a basket.
A lot of thought and effort and research has gone into what goes into the basket. And there's a comfort level in terms of the sender, because I'm sure there's also a concern of, well, I don't want to send the wrong thing, or what happens if I send something that offends them, or maybe is counterproductive, like the smell of the fruit making the patient nauseous. So there's a comfort level there that I think anyone who goes this route can embrace, and I think that plays an important role as well. And it's also interesting that you're working with the parents so that they can make the most of that basket. I think that's great. So clearly your heart's in the right spot.
It's been really gratifying, the feedback that I've gotten, and the feedback from people that have received baskets has been astounding and definitely humbling. It's really gratifying to help, to help in that way.
The website again is
www.rockthetreatment.com.